The British National Anthem in its present form dates back to the 18th century. The words and tune are anonymous, and may date back to the 17th century. God Save the King was a patriotic song first publicly performed in London in 1745, which came to be known as the national anthem at the beginning of the 19th century. In September 1745, the young pretender to the British throne, Prince Charles Edward Stuart, defeated the army of King George II at Preston Pans, near Edinburgh. In a fit of patriotic fervour after news of Preston Pans had reached London, the leader of the band at the Theatre Royal, Drury Lane, arranged God Save the King for performance after a play. It was a tremendous success and was repeated nightly. This practice soon spread to other theatres, and the custom of greeting monarchs with the song as he or she entered a place of public entertainment was thus established. There is no authorized version of the national anthem as the words are a matter of tradition. Additional verses have been added down the years, but these are rarely used. The words used today are those sung in 1745, substituting Queen for King where appropriate. On official occasions, only the first verse is usually sung. The words of the national anthem are as follows. God save our gracious King. Long live our noble King. God save the King. Send him victorious. Happy and glorious. Long to reign over us. God save the King. Thy choicest gifts in store. On him be pleased to pour. Long may he reign. May he defend our laws. And ever give us cause to sing with heart and voice. God save the King. The British tune has been used in other countries. European visitors to Britain in the 18th century noticed the advantage of a country possessing such a recognized musical symbol. In total, around 140 composers, including Beethoven, Haydn, and Brahms, have used the tune in their compositions. God Save the King, alternatively God Save the Queen when the British monarch is female, is the national anthem of the United Kingdom and the royal anthem of each of the British Crown Dependencies, one of two national anthems of New Zealand, and the royal anthem of most Commonwealth realms. The author of the tune is unknown and it may originate in plain chant, but an attribution to the composer John Bull has sometimes been made. In countries not part of the British Empire, the tune of God Save the King has provided the basis for various patriotic songs, though still generally connected with royal ceremony. The melody continues to be used for the national anthem of Liechtenstein, Oben am Jungen Rhein, and the royal anthem of Norway, Konge Sangen. The melody is used for the American patriotic song My Country, 'Tis of Thee, also known as America. The melody was also used for the national anthem Heil dir im Siegerkranz, Hail to Thee in the Victor's Crown, of the Kingdom of Prussia from 1795 until 1918, and as the anthem of the German Emperor from 1871 to 1918, and as the Prayer of Russians, the Imperial Anthem of Russia from 1816 to 1833. In Switzerland, it is known as Rufst du, Mein Vaterland. Beyond its first verse, which is consistent, God Save the King has many historic and extant versions. Since its first publication, different verses have been added and taken away and, even today, different publications include various selections of verses in various orders. In general, only one verse is sung. Sometimes two verses are sung and, on certain occasions, three. The entire composition is the musical salute for the monarch and royal consort, while other members of the royal family who are entitled to royal salute, such as the Prince of Wales, along with his spouse, receive just the first 6 bars. The first 6 bars also form all or part of the vice-regal salute in some Commonwealth realms other than the UK, example in Canada, governors-general and lieutenant-governors at official events are saluted with the first 6 bars of God Save the King followed by the first 4 and last 4 bars of O Canada, as well as the salute given to governors of British overseas territories. The text first appeared in England in the late 1590s, with the publication of Shakespeare's Richard III, Act 4, Scene 1. Lady Anne says to Queen Elizabeth, "Were red-hot steel to sear me to the brains. Anointed let me be with deadly venom, and die ere men can say God save the Queen. In the Oxford Companion to Music, Percy Scholes points out the similarities to an early plainsong melody, although the rhythm is very distinctly that of a Galliard 6, and he gives examples of several such dance tunes that bear a striking resemblance to God Save the King. Scholes quotes a keyboard piece by John Bull, 1619, which has some similarities to the modern tune, depending on the placing of accidentals which at that time were unwritten in certain cases and left to the discretion of the player, see Musica Ficta. He also points to several pieces by Henry Purcell, one of which includes the opening notes of the modern tune, setting the words God Save the King. 19th century scholars and commentators mention the widespread belief that an old Scots carol, Remember O Thou Man, was the source of the tune. The first published version that resembles the present song appeared in 1744, with no title but the heading for two voices, in an anthology originally named Harmonia Britannia but changed after only a few copies had been printed to Thesaurus Musicus. When the Jacobite pretender Charles Edward Stuart led the 1745 Rising, the song spread among those loyal to King George II. The tune published in the Gentleman's Magazine in 1745 departs from that used today at several points, one as early as the first bar, but is otherwise clearly a strong relative of the contemporary anthem. It was recorded as being sung in London theatres in 1745, with, for example, Thomas Arne writing a setting of the tune for the Drury Lane Theatre. Scholes' analysis includes mention of untenable and doubtful claims, as well as an American misattribution. Some of these are: James Oswald was a possible author of the Thesaurus Musicus, so may have played a part in the history of the song, but is not a strong enough candidate to be cited as the composer of the tune. Henry Carey. Scholes refutes this attribution, first on the grounds that Carey himself never made such a claim, second, when the claim was made by Carey's son, in 1795, it was in support of a request for a pension from the British government, and third, the younger Carey claimed that his father, who died in 1743, had written parts of the song in 1745. It has also been claimed that the work was first publicly performed by Carey during a dinner in 1740 in honor of Admiral Edward Grog Vernon, who had captured the Spanish harbor of Portobello, then in the Viceroyalty of New Granada, now in Panama, during the War of Jenkins' Ear. Scholes recommends the attribution traditional or traditional, earliest known version by John Bull, 1562–1628. The English hymnal, musical editor Ralph Vaughan Williams, gives no attribution, stating merely 17th or 18th cent. Like many aspects of British constitutional life, God Save the King derives its official status from custom and use, not from royal proclamation or Act of Parliament. 11. The variation in the UK of the lyrics to God Save the King is the oldest amongst those currently used, and forms the basis on which all other versions used throughout the Commonwealth are formed, though, again, the words have varied over time. England has no official national anthem of its own. God Save the King is treated as the English national anthem when England is represented at sporting events, though there are some exceptions to this rule, such as cricket where Jerusalem is used. There is a movement to establish an English national anthem, with Blake and Perry's Jerusalem and Elgar's Land of Hope and Glory among the top contenders. Wales has a single official national anthem, Hanwlad Fi en Hayda, Land of My Fathers, while Scotland uses unofficial anthems. Scotland the Brave was traditionally used until the 1990s, since then, Flower of Scotland is more commonly used. These anthems are used formally at state and national ceremonies as well as international sporting events such as football and rugby union matches. On all occasions in Northern Ireland, God Save the King is still used as the official anthem. In 2001, it was claimed that the phrase No Surrender was occasionally sung in the bridge before Send Her Victorious by England football fans at matches. Since 2003, God Save the King, considered an all-inclusive anthem for Great Britain and Northern Ireland, as well as other countries within the Commonwealth, has been dropped from the Commonwealth Games. Northern Irish athletes receive their gold medals to the tune of the Londonderry Air, popularly known as Danny Boy. In 2006, English winners heard Elgar's Pomp and Circumstance March No. 1, usually known as Land of Hope and Glory, but after a poll conducted by the Commonwealth Games Council for England prior to the 2010 Games, Jerusalem was adopted as England's new Commonwealth Games anthem. In sports in which the UK competes as one nation, most notably as Great Britain at the Olympics, the anthem is used to represent anyone or any team that comes from the United Kingdom. On November 3, 2016, Conservative MP Andrew Rosendale argued for a return to the broadcasting of God Save the Queen at the end of BBC One transmissions each day. The practice was dropped in 1997, ostensibly due to BBC One adopting 24-hour broadcasting by simulcasting BBC News 24 overnight, rendering close down obsolete. Since January 18, 2022, GB News has played God Save the Queen at the start of live programming every day. God Save the King was exported around the world via the expansion of the British Empire, serving as each country's national anthem. Throughout the empire's evolution into the Commonwealth of Nations, the song declined in use in most states which became independent. In New Zealand, it remains one of the official national anthems. The anthem was the first piece of music played on a computer, and the first computer music to be recorded. Musical notes were first generated by a computer programmed by Alan Turing at the Computing Machine Laboratory of the University of Manchester in 1948. The first music proper, a performance of the national anthem, was programmed by Christopher Strachey on the Mark II Manchester electronic computer at same venue, in 1951. Later that year, short extracts of 3 pieces, the first being the national anthem, were recorded there by a BBC outside broadcasting unit, the other pieces being BAA Black Sheep, and In the Mood. Researchers at the University of Canterbury, Christchurch restored the acetate master disc in 2016 and the results may be heard on SoundCloud. The philosopher and reformer Jeremy Bentham praised God Save the King in 1796, the melody recommending itself by beauty to the most polished ears, and by its simplicity to the rudest ear. A song of this complexion, implanted by the habit of half a century in the mass of popular sentiment, cannot be refused a place in the inventory of the national blessings. Ludwig van Beethoven wrote, "I have to show the English a little of what a blessing God Save the King is." There have been calls within the UK for a new national anthem, whether it be for the United Kingdom itself, Britain or England, which all currently use God Save the King. There are many reasons people cite for wishing for a new national anthem, such as, from a non-religious standpoint, claims of God Save the King being long outdated and irrelevant in the 21st century, rejection of odes to promoting war and imperialism, and rejection of praising the monarchy from a republican perspective. A further reason is that England has no anthem of its own for sporting contests and the like, whereas Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales have unofficial anthems: Flower of Scotland, Londonderry Air, and Hanulad Fi en Hayda, while England tends to use God Save the King exclusively and also unofficially. Thank you for watching this video.